Hey, listeners, thanks for tuning into the podcast. I just want to take a moment to mention the podcast sponsor, retrogamestore.com.au. Head over there for all your Game Boy refurbish and repair needs. Screens, shells, buttons, and all the bits and pieces. And there's a complete custom build made to order service as well. Also, plenty more retro gaming goodness like video cables, display stand and power supplies, controllers, etc. And you can add the code PixelPie at checkout to get 10% off your order. Also, take a moment to say if you enjoyed this episode and haven't already, give it a subscribe or follow and a review where you can. And maybe you want to recommend the Pixel Pie podcast to anyone you know that would enjoy it. That'd be really appreciated. So thanks for listening, and now let's get on with the show.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan from Gameover Customs, and you're listening to the Pixel Pie podcast.
Hello, Jonathan. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Scott. How are you?
Oh, I'm real good. We haven't caught up in a while. We've been sort of chatting on the side, and I've been sort of drawing you into my little world. And I was like,
little by little
into my web, and I was like, hey, would you like to come on the podcast and talk about yourself? And you're like, hell yeah! So here we are. How are you? What's going on? Tell us a little bit about sort of where you are and just generally life and stuff. Am I wrong in that you've got a new baby?
Yeah, so we have our first baby on the way.
Oh, congratulations.
We're expecting a little girl.
Best mod ever.
120% she's going to be better than everybody.
Yeah,
in video gaming, that is for sure.
Yeah,
we're going to start her off right. We're going to start her off right with the Super Nintendo and work her way up. But let's see how it goes. It's super exciting times. We're due in December. So
right, wow.
If I go a little radio silent in the holidays, you already know if you're listening.
Yeah, it's certainly. If your life is seen as a pie chart, that section that was yours becomes this little slither. Somewhere it's a beautiful thing, but it is. I've got one daughter. I had my daughter when she's 38, pretty late, second marriage and stuff. So, but just crushed it the second time round, and yeah, it just changes everything. It's so demanding, so rewarding. There's so many things I did in my life before having a child. I think if I could go back now with this experience, I would just do so much easier because you learn to just run on vapors and you learn to just accept reality and things like you don't push back as hard as you're like, they're a force. So, dude, you're in for a wild and awesome ride.
Hoping to have a player 3 ready to play now when we play Mario Party and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, geez. And you're in Florida, so like generally Florida is a pretty rad place to grow up, right? I mean, there's beaches and jet boats and freaking, all that cool stuff.
There's also 100% humidity. It's really hot. You sweat through your shirt.
December's kind of winter for you guys, so will it be a little more comfortable for your wife?
So December, the way it works here in Florida is, I always like to joke around and say we're getting the one day of winter where it gets to like 58 degrees and everybody's wearing their ski outfits outside, and then the next day it's like back to 100 degrees, everybody.
Oh, wow. 100 Fahrenheit. So I guess that's probably, by the way you're talking, it's probably up around that sort of 30s. Sort of. I know what humidity is like. I'm in Queensland, and we get humidity during summer, and I freaking hate it. I really do. I grew up a lot down south, and humidity's arse. Like when you walk outside and you're just sweating, and it's if you're doing things like you swim when you got your tank top on and your shorts and stuff. But if you just want to go to the shops and not be drenched like I do, God, it shits me.
Yeah, it's horrible. So I'm a banker during the day.
Right.
And so I dress up with my suit, my tie, my long sleeve dress shirt, my pants. And just around lunchtime at 12 o'clock when the sun's in the middle of the day and you're walking to your car to go get food, it's like a heat blast of humidity. So we get 100% humidity half the time here. And it's just that it just kicks you in the face. You walk, and then you walk back inside, back into the AC, and you're like, "Oh yes, the AC." And you look at the AC, and the AC is running at 82 because it's so hot outside. And you're like,
man! But it's still cool relative to outside. Oh man.
Relative.
So I guess if that's the case, like it's really nice to sit in your house in AC and like mod some Game Boys, huh?
Yeah, so I have my little personal little fan here. I made it to I told the wife that it was to take the fumes out of my face from soldering, but it's actually I ended up pointing it at me half the time rather than in the face of the mod.
Yeah, and you are definitely a modder. We'll talk about a couple of things you've done recently, which is pretty rad. Maybe I don't know, like if you come up with or whatever, but definitely a game changer. It'll make me want to play a bit more Pokemon if I was to do. I would what you'll talk about. I would mod a Game Boy GBA purely to play Pokemon on, because grinding I don't have time for it. You'll discover that when you have your child play 3. You're clearly a collector. One thing I really want to talk about with you so much, because every single day I fall more in love with it, is the Gamecube. I love it. I've got 6 consoles, retro consoles, and the GameCube's not retro, but I think of all of them, it just has something about it. It's a beautiful lady. I want to show you something. I'll let you talk in a minute. I know I've talked a lot, but I couldn't afford a Wavebird. Baron Prizeman lent me his to see if it would work and how it would feel. I was like, thanks, man. So I found these, you might see on my Insta, these Repro orange ones. So
the third-party ones?
Yeah, and it's like I reviewed them, and there's like 15 different brands, but they're all probably the same thing. Now, they don't have the little dial to set frequencies. They're just paired up. And they normally
already compared already.
Yeah, correct. And the same thing, you put the batteries in, and I picked up, so they're normally about $50 Australian brand new. I got them both off a local marketplace for $50. And I was like, worth a shot. The left trigger on these ones, it was kind of always on. It was like I was playing Luigi's Mansion, and his ice or fires like always. So you've probably been inside one, but there's a little slider, like an analog slider on a spring, and part of the molding of the plastic was just stopping the spring from pushing all the way forward. So open it up, get in my hobby knife, take a little bit of molding off the controller, and boom, nailed it. So, and I messaged the guy, I'm like, you forgot to mention that both these, the left button stays on. Crickets.
How is the latency on that?
Nothing. It's
no
like
latency.
I'm not a Call of Duty cut guy. I'm not a like, it's not about Twitch gaming for me. Luigi's Mansion has a little bit of like demanding stuff, but it's still cool. The Wavebird, I mean, it's gorgeous. But I just see here, I've got a Wavebird. I'll never have one in my house again. Thank you, Will, Baron Prizeman. But if I want to pick one of these up in decent nick today, it's about 200 Australian. That's
over here in the US, they're about the last time I checked, they were about between 55 and 60 for the official ones here in the US.
Okay, so that's probably, by the time you ship that to me, if you were to hook me up, probably still talking about nearly $150.
Yeah.
Yes.
But wow, that's cool. That's cool. I've always thought about getting an orange repo one like that.
They're good.
Third-party one.
And then what you do is you paint
the shell off. Taking the shell off. Yes.
Yeah. So I just did like a black bottom half and that sort of a fairly close purple, awesome. A nice matte finish. The orange ones had a little bit of that typical repro kind of like long session slimy feel in your hand. Once I did the matte coats, it came good, and it's look, I love it.
You can even order from. I wonder if Chris from Perth Retro Gaming. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has those metal analog sticks that Zeb Labs has.
Yeah, I guess they would look. I've seen Joe Bleeps has stuck a few in his as well too. Yeah.
The quality on those are 10 out of 10.
Really good. Oh, and one more thing about me before we talk about you. I also just recently picked up a repro wireless PS2 controller.
Oh wow!
So this is like about $30 Australian, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Again, it had a sort of a slimy feel, so I just pulled it apart. It was a real struggle.
I wouldn't call those two repo though, because PlayStation never came out with official wireless.
Correct. Ones. You're my man.
So that's right. I just say the third party.
That's right. But they got they got a Sony on them and stuff. They came in a really cool box.
Yeah, it looks super official.
Yeah, so that's really neat, and it's good. I'm just with 6 consoles. I like to have my controllers plugged in, and the less cables, the better. And again, I'm not a great gamer, so if I miss something, it's probably more me than the lag.
you know what you got to throw in those, Scott? Some rechargeable batteries from IKEA, the IKEA Lotto ones.
Oh yeah, geez, if I could show you over here, I've got two chargers. I've got two chargers stuck to my bench, and it runs AA's, AAA's, the whole lot. Because
you have to those. I still haven't charged the ones in my PlayStation 2. Sometimes I get worried with the Logitech ones. Those were the ones that came out way back when for the wireless controller.
Yeah.
And it's been like about a month since I've turned on the PlayStation 2, and I start wondering, because I get all those Game Boys with battery corrosion and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, hold on, let me go take the battery out of those controllers really quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave them in there. But no, they're great. They're phenomenal batteries.
So anywho, I really want to know a little bit about you, like because recently you've been doing a few mods like this overclocking to make Pokemon grinding quicker. That's a fairly extensive, a fairly complicated mod. I can't imagine you just sort of bumped your head in the toilet and woke up and went, "Hey, I got a message from the aliens. Are going to do this." So maybe just take us back a little tiny bit, like to Little John.
The cool part about that whole mod, so in the beginning when I first started modding, I was put onto, and I would see the mods from retro modding, and I saw that they had a overclock mod. And then speaking to Idle Hand Modding, he overclocked, I think it was his Game Boy SP.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to play Pokemon faster. So then I would look around and do some research, and then I came onto the company Division 6, which they're the ones who make the overclock chip. And they were always out of stock. They're out of stock on retro modding. They're out of stock on Handheld Legends. They're all out of stock everywhere. And it's been about over a year that they've been out of stock. And then miraculously, just one day, I just went onto the Division 6 website, and they just had restocked about 16 of them. And I'm like, give me all of them.
Oh, really?
give me all of them. So the dude was super cool. He ended up selling them to me, not too much of a discount, because I believe in everybody should have their hustle, and everybody needs to make their money somehow.
Good man.
And at the end of the day, if it costs me $6 for the chip, I'm gonna probably end up charging like 10 or 15.
Yeah.
So I'll probably make some money on top of it.
Yeah, good man.
So I did the mod for the first time the other day, and I'll say, Scott, I have an empty GBA right here. This crystal. So I don't think I'm the best modder in the world or the best solderer, but this stupid little thing to take off this crystal on this little GBA is the hardest thing to take off.
Everybody has their limits, and you found one, right?
I ended up just looking up a couple videos, and I think it was Mako. Mako was taken. He was copying over the whole GBA, the whole parts and the internals and everything.
Do like a full rebuild on the blackboard. Oh, that's nuts, eh?
Yes, I was watching that one, and I saw him take it off with a hot plate, and I'm like, okay, but what about all these little pieces back here? So I ended up just going rogue with it and just cutting it off, and luckily I didn't tear a pad on it.
Yeah.
But those are one of those mods where it's like, okay, so do I ever want to offer this to anybody? Do I ever want to do this ever again? Is it really worth it?
Yeah, a lot of time, but it was for the risk of what could be the outcome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Once I got it all running and everything, I did notice that the chip runs about half speed, so you can slow it down and run slow-mo. It runs one speed, with the 1x speed, which is the normal Game Boy speed. It runs two times speed, so it speeds it up. That's what you saw. But at 4x speed, the LCD starts flickering because the processor of the GBA can't handle it.
Right.
So we're at that. It's pretty cool for Pokemon grinding and going through all that super long text and everything, and then I just switch it back after a while. But it was great.
Two times is good. I mean, I played like Leaf Green, like on an emulator on my phone. That's like the first Pokemon game I completed was Leaf Green, and just running around Mount Moon or something, trying to grind, and being able to level up, 3 or 4 levels in sort of an hour as opposed to a week. Really super duper handy. So you just wire it up to like shoulder buttons, or how do you sort of change the speed?
So in order to change the speed, I had it programmed because so if you hold the select button on a GBA when you do the backlight mod and you tap the shoulder buttons, it lowers and changes the brightness.
Yeah.
So it kind of does that same concept. So instead of rewiring it to select, I did it to start. So you have to hold L and R at the same time and click start.
Oh, that's neat,
and it just speeds it up. So
That's
you have
neat.
both functionality. You have the backlit for the
Yeah.
brightness, and you have also the speed mod. So
Yeah.
it was one of those really cool things. I did try it a while for, well, at lunch during work,
Yeah. Yeah.
and shiny hunting for Pokemon, then soft resetting the game. It takes out the whole grind of, oh my god, because it also speeds up the intro of the Pokemon game too. So you're literally
Right.
back in the game in like 5 seconds. So,
Right.
but shiny hunting for Pokemon, it's a pretty good skill. Pretty
Man, I've
pretty
never
little neat thing to have.
I've done leaf green and emerald, and I don't know. I didn't even know there was shinies in those games. My daughter and I play with Pokemon Go. It's like Shiny City, but yeah, the whole shiny in normal Pokemon is like totally alien to me. So good on you, because that means a chump like me might be able to actually catch a shiny. Hmm.
Yeah, it's and also I did see also on the Division 6 website, people use the accelerator mods on the Game Boys, and I was going to speak to Joe Bleeps about it, but for chip tunes to get some different audio and different beeps. So
Yeah, right.
keep forgetting to hit up Joe Bleeps to ask him
Joe
if he's
Joe
done one for the Game Boy Color or anything.
Joe Bleeps knows about the beeps. If anybody,
He does. He does.
he's freaking rad. He blows me away. Hey Joe, if you happen to be listening, just he's just one of those. I'm sure he's just one of those kids that run around the roof and stuff, and like on his skatey in the backyard. How his ankles aren't just like bags of sausage meat, I don't know. It's
It's
incredible.
funny that when I heard when he was on the podcast,
Yeah.
he was talking about his chip tunes and everything, and I spoke to him, and I was like, "Hey Joe, the chip tunes are great work." He's like, "Oh, I don't really know if people like my work," and I'm like,
You
"I like
kidding?
your work, so you can post it.
Yeah.
So even if nobody else likes it, just
Yeah,
post
that's
it for
right.
me. It's
Yeah, yeah.
phenomenal work."
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to hear a little more of his stuff. Like, if you're listening, Joe, those skatey vids, throw some of your tunes in behind it. Like, that's the perfect blend. You
That would
know?
be phenomenal. That would be the
Mm.
coolest. So
So
yeah,
let
Joe, you heard it here.
Yeah,
So you got to do
yeah,
it.
there is demand. So then that's like probably one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most sort of extreme Game Boy mods. So that means that pretty much like everything in between, like, a reshell and IPSs and things like that for you, that's kind of your bread and butter, because you do, like you said before, you don't want to take away a man's hustle or a lady's hustle. Got to be careful. And you obviously make some cash for yourself and keep your kind of lifestyle going as far as retro gaming. So you do a lot of that then, huh? Like you do a lot of building and repairing and modding and stuff for peeps to
So
see.
the biggest thing that we do, since I do see that the Game Boys are never going to last forever. There is millions and millions and millions of Game Boys out there.
Yep.
But the
So,
supply will, in commas, the supply will dwindle down. Just like, for example, fresh water will eventually run out if you think about it.
I guess,
But
yeah.
it's what everybody's afraid of. But my favorite thing to do is send in service, where for example, Scott, you send me your Game Boy and
Yeah.
I upgrade it for you, and it's literally, hey, I saved myself on having to source a Game Boy for you. It's cheap. It's 100 times cheaper.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's your childhood Game Boy if it is the one you're sending me
Yeah.
in, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
got new life for another 20 years.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is really awesome. So what would be the percentage of the work that you do on Game Boys for cash, inverters, commas, is that send in service?
It is. And it's usually sometimes we're also a
Is
modder,
it
for
is it like
example.
50% or 60% or like,
For send in service, I would say it's about 65% of the
wow, that's
people
unreal.
that get
You
send in
must really
service.
be out there. Like people must, is it just word of mouth, like through Facebook, or how do you get so
Usually,
much?
I'm a big believer of, if you're not in a Facebook group, what are you doing?
Very
You're
well. Yep, it
if
works
you're
for
only
some people. Yeah.
if you're only in Instagram and you're only in the same community. Well, I love the Instagram community.
Mhm.
But you have to get into a Facebook group with like-minded modders, and just go.
Mm.
For example, the one that's the biggest that I like is Game Boy Collectors of America.
Mm.
And those are the guys that are finding the Game Boys at the yard sales, and they're the ones that have the full collection of Game Boy games.
Ooh, I need to
And they're
look.
like, hey, I want to start playing some of these Game Boy games, but I can't play them in the dark. Can I send you my Game Boy? I've seen you on Instagram, or I see you all the time posting these cool builds. can I send you mine and just drop a light in it? And then that's where I started telling him, hey, we can do a speaker upgrade. We can do overclocking. We can do tactile feel buttons. And half the time, if at the end of the day, half the time, if you give me a really, really good conversation and I see how dedicated you are, more than the time, I'll just end up doing parts and just $25 or $30 of labor for everything. And sometimes even for those modders who want to do it themselves and they mess it up or something happens, hey, my backlit mod doesn't work. I'm pretty sure I got the screen working or the speaker doesn't work. I don't know how to do it. Can you finish my mod? I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll just charge you shipping. Just pay me to ship it back to you and let's just get it going. It's another Game Boy out in the market, out given new life instead of being in the garbage because someone gave up on something easy, which is easy to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that feeling. I know some people, like, obviously there's going to be guys. I mean, I have a lot of original Game Boys that are in really great shape and I really love them. But I also, as I've said before, I also have kind of one of each that's playable, as in IPSs and amps and things like that. But I really love that idea of taking someone's childhood Game Boy and just making it playable again, because what I think we tend to forget is that not everybody wants every complete inbox Game Boy game. Not everybody wants every single color that was ever produced in North America and Europe. Not everybody wants overclocked, fully powered up, this is not my final form things to play. Some people just have their DMG that their dad gave them when they were 9 years old, and they can't play it because now they're 38, 45, and their eyes ain't great, and they can't see the screen. All they want to do is play it again, the same Mario game. And it's legit. It's legit. I think some people forget about it. We don't have to go to the moon to enjoy flight. And I really appreciate when people like yourself are just cleaning stuff up and saying, here you go. And that person's just, they're happy. And that is it. They are happy.
Yeah. So my favorite mods to work on are the Game Boy Advance, just because I grew up with the Game Boy Advance. I like doing Game Boy Colors. I was a little bit younger when I received my first Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
But DMG and Pockets and stuff, I never physically played with them because I was just not around at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have my uncle's DMG. It has battery corrosion, the whole thing. And I have never worked on a DMG. Yeah. And so I don't want to dive into that. The whole capacitor thing scares me. I don't want to look at it. So I hit up TL hand modding, Trey, and he was kind enough
shout out to Trey. He's a good egg, huh?
So I send it over to him. So imagine if I really was like not about the whole thing and not about the community, I was like, hey Trey, do you like doing DMGs? Can you just keep mine as original as possible? And I wonder if it's, and then to send it to you and you just do it for me. And then he ended up fixing it. He put the backlit mod in it. He kept it all original. But he told me, hey, the only thing that doesn't work is the speaker. So I just have this other DMG that's completely roached, that I like to call it roached, here on my desk.
What is with that screen? I've never seen anything like it.
I have no idea. It looks like if it has like glue on it or something in there.
Maybe someone's replaced the lens. When it looks like it to me over this.
No idea.
No one else can see. Almost looks like a like the X-ray you get of your baby.
Yep. That's what it looks like. It looks like there's like cream cheese in the actual lens.
Holy
shit. That's what it looks like.
The shell looks in amazing condition though.
So I just have it here to rip out whenever I get the chance, the actual soundboard thing, since there was corrosion on the other one, swap it over into the other one. Yeah. So that's one of the. So if I ended up just sending, hey Trey, if you have a moment, here's 2 Game Boys. Here's the one you did for me. Can you just swap it out for me? Just whatever you charge, let me know.
And the circle of life continues. You're doing a send-in service to him. That's good. So let's talk about other stuff. Like what other you obviously just grew up with the GBA. I know you and I have a very common affection for Gamecube. Now, you probably grew up with a Gamecube, so I feel like a total imposter. But I picked one up like last year, put the GC loader in it, and I'm getting like these neat repro Wavebird controllers. And I tell you, I don't know why, but I freaking love it. I've got it through a 29-inch Trinitron. It's like legit, and I just love it. There's just something about GameCube games. It just feels so maybe I'm a dad, maybe I'm old, but they just feel wholesome and the colors are right. And the controller is probably one of the most comfortable things I've ever held in my life. Tell me about your
Coolest thing,
GameCube life.
coolest thing about the GameCube is I might be a little bit of an imposter, but I grew up with the PlayStation. I'm a big Sony PlayStation fan. So I grew up with the PlayStation 2. And the way that the GameCube came into my life was, you know, how Nintendo brands himself, the only way to play Mario games is if you have anything Nintendo related.
Yeah.
So my parents got, for me and my sisters, they got us a family GameCube. So ever since then, I've just had this affinity for GameCubes where it's the worst selling console supposedly of all time of the era, beating out the Xbox beat it. The PlayStation 2 is still the craziest, most selling console of all time. And then there's the poor little GameCube. So I don't know if it's because of demand or it's that everybody's finally going back and being like, I had PlayStation, Xbox, I never had a GameCube. Let's check it out. And now they're realizing 20 years later how cool the GameCube actually really is.
I think it was just a perfect storm, right? Like it was just like you said, the Xbox and the PS2 and that were just kind of just really, you know, Nintendo's always had that kind of real stickler for this is what we're doing. I think they kind of because if I remember correctly, just from like stuff I've read and heard, that when the GameCube was announced, it was almost kind of coaxed out of Nintendo. They weren't kind of talking about it. And there's a few people, you know, around towards CES sort of going, don't you guys have a console that's coming? You know, was it Dolphin or something? I can't remember what the code name was.
Yeah, they call it Project Dolphin.
And they're kind of like, yeah, we've got this. I guess they just sort of didn't want to. I don't know. I was just a chump, but it sounded like they sort of a honorable defeat, and they're like, "Yeah, we've got this." I will shout out to another podcast. The GameCube was cool. Check those guys out. Two lads from the US that grew up with the GameCube, and they do make the GameCube sound cool. Doesn't have to be made sound. I think it's cool, but they'll just go through a bunch of games and stuff, and just really chilled. So. Definitely go if you listen to podcasts, maybe you do because you're hearing this. Go check those guys out. Yeah, the GameCube really did sort of slip under the radar, but so you do a lot with them. Like you're kind of waffling them because you don't do raffles on Instagram. You're modding them. You're doing all sorts of rad stuff with them. You've got one. You've had a couple, specifically the Shah GameCubes. Now, there's a pretty rad story. The Gundam one.
So the Gundam GameCube, whatever they call it, the Gundam GameCube.
It's Shah Aznavour. He's the kind of like the semi-bad guy, semi-protagonist through the whole what is it that the
you have that model kit back there.
I do. I have the big Asazabi, the MG. It nearly broke my soul to build that thing. It's freaking amazing. So like a GameCube sitting next to that would be freaking sick if you just have one laying around.
That's super cool.
Yeah. There's a bit of a sad story because you had two at one point.
We call it Scott, we call that here in the house here. My wife calls it the tragedy.
Yeah.
So we originally started off. Let's bring it back a little more. So once I modded my purple GameCube, I put it's called the Xenochip.
Yeah.
So this is the alternative. So you don't have to rip out the optical drive. Sure. This is the Xenochip. You put it in there. You run it through the SP2 SD2, which is on the bottom of the GameCube. Let me see if I have it.
I just did the GC loader, which you just remove and just replace the whole lot. So it's
you put the chip here on the bottom,
right?
And so this allows you to both keep functionality for physical games, and you can still play games off of an SD card. So imagine putting it like if it was today. A PlayStation 4, you have physical games, or you can download them online digitally. So you have the options for both.
Let me just interrupt for a second. The memory card. So the Shah Aznavour GameCube, to describe it for those who you can go away quickly, Google it. It's red, like a nice, gorgeous sort of fire engine-y red.
It's like almost like a salmon red, almost.
Well, the salmon red is actually the color of his officially, if you want to paint it. And it's got a bunch of sort of Gundam type markings all over it, and it's got a
it brings the Zaku figure.
You get a Zaku figure in the box. The controller comes with it. Again, it sort of matches it, and it has the little emblem on the front there and everything. And the cover on the top, the sort of the grey disc or black disc that's sort of semi see-through, that's got some stuff all over it. It's very specific and very rare. So I just want to describe that.
The coolest thing about that GameCube, it's the only GameCube ever made that the front faceplate controller plate is a different color other than gray.
Right, I did notice that. It's a dark
It's
gray.
the only one. It's the only GameCube that has a different colored faceplate. Nothing else. No other GameCube has a different color faceplate. But so to continue with that story, Scott, I hit up Game Duck. So I have already achieved my quest of getting the purple big box to play the whole combo GameCube.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love Gundams. I see the Gundam GameCube, that red color with the black almost faceplate is just out of this world. And so I hit up Howard from he's Game Duck. He's the one who does all the stickers and everything for most of us here in the community. Here's what he does for us.
Oh, rad.
Relabel
on GBA. Yep.
Yeah. So he had posted a picture saying that he was selling his, and I was like, hey, I need this. I need it. So he ended up selling it to me. Bottom line, he sold it to me. I paid a little bit too much for it, but we don't talk about numbers here. And
of course,
the wife's around.
But when you want it,
we don't talk about it.
You got to have it.
So he ended up sending it over from England.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the US, so you can imagine about couple $1,000 in there in that GameCube. Just let's just let Border Patrol and take care of it, right? So I paid for the insurance just in case they lose it, everything. Yep. And it finally gets here. And we call it the tragedy because this GameCube was the most cleanest GameCube when he was showing me the pictures. Yeah. But for some reason, Border Patrol decided to open that GameCube box up and they just sliced it like if they were cutting a pizza pie when they were opening the original gray box. So if you can see the pictures, let me see if I have.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling down and trying to find out so I can describe them for the listeners.
The box was super mint. And
so this was like it was in the box and it was inside another box, obviously for shipping.
It was inside of the cardboard box. It was wrapped. When I say wrapped, you look like a mummy, wrapped in bubble wrap. And here it is, Scott. They just slice and dice it
across the front there and stuff. Oh no!
They just and they punctured a hole here and everything.
Oh, bro!
So imagine that's it. Like the whole value of that whole GameCube is basically gone.
Yeah, here's
let me see here. Here's the picture. They even opened the chocolate and everything.
Man.
It didn't make any sense. So I just didn't want to see it. I don't want to look at it, throw it away. I was extremely disappointed.
So you said there was chocolate inside. So then maybe that was the reason why they.
I'm wondering if it was the chocolate that was inside, but this would have been like the 6th time that I get anything from England and he sends me chocolates for the wife from England.
Well,
and I don't see they even took the GameCube completely out of the GameCube box. They took the GameCube out, they laid it all out. So I'm just happy that I ended up getting it back to me with all the pieces and everything. Yeah. So speaking to Howard about it, that was the tragedy. But luckily enough, he had another one. This one was a couple more expensive because it had all the little baggies, it had the little clips and everything. This was literally brand new off the shelf.
Wow.
So I was like, I have to have that one. Let's try it this time. And Howard went to the extreme lengths to writing on the box, no slashing with a lightsaber. Don't get a machete and go through the jungle with it. He put it inside a box, inside of another box, inside of another box, like those German dolls.
Yeah, the Russian dolls, the nesting dolls.
The Russian dolls. He put it in about 3 boxes, send it over, and it came in mint condition. And that's the one that I have
no chocolate.
And no chocolate this time. So the reason what you bring up is Scott, you were telling me about the picture that I have with both the GameCubes in the grass.
Yeah.
The reason I took that GameCube before I took that picture before I sold the one of the two. I took a loss on that GameCube sale, but I mean at the end of the day it's not going to be like $2,000 out of money on it. Just
1,500, right?
Yeah, more or less. More or less around there. So I ended up selling that one, and I was like, you know what? Let's do a service, because when was the last time these 2 GameCubes? You can imagine these GameCubes were only from Japan. They sat on the shelf at one point together or in the factory, and there's only about I think it's about 10,000 of them made. So I'm like, let's do a service to these two GameCubes, and when's the last time these guys will ever be together ever again, sitting side by side? So took a cool little picture in the grass there, against my will.
Beautiful.
But the wife wanted it for the aesthetics, so to get it in the grass.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a blend of so many kind of coolness. Yeah, estimated between, I just Googled the piece out, estimated between 5,000 and 10,000. So yeah, like at some point, I guess they kind of went, let's just turn all the machinery to punch out red shells and printing this. And I imagine at some point they would have just kind of all ended up on a bunch of pallets in a warehouse and then got sent out. So you are dead right. At one point, and for the last time in history, until when you put them together on your lawn or in the same address, they were sitting in a warehouse somewhere, and then sent out into the universe, and then back again. Oh my god, that's really cool.
20 years back together.
I love that shit.
So I was like, let's take a picture of it together. But Scott, something super cool that I found out the other day. Can you believe that they have a Char Game Boy Advance SP?
Oh, an SP. Dang, that's pretty neat. So you're on the hunt.
It's my personal mission now for the last 3 months to find one of those for a decent price that won't destroy the wallet.
Oh, look, there it is. Oh, look, in box is pretty bloody good too. Looks like it's got what's it come with? Yeah, right. Oh, dude, you just ruin everything with all this like coolness. It's like I was talking to Taco Games.
That's the collector inside of me. That's the collector inside of me.
I know. It's like talking to Taco Games a while back, and he's got this like Star Wars pocket in a box, and it's just a silver pocket. And it's got some cool stickers and stuff, but it's got Star Wars art all over it, and it's very cool. And I was like, "Oh, dude, if you're ever going to sell that, you let me know." And he goes, "Oh, sure, maybe. Who knows?" This is a really good
something that I am trying to get rid of.
The color pops, and I looked it up, and that's like a $1,500 pocket, and I was like, you're paying for the box."
Speaking about pockets, I just got this not too recently ago.
Oh, Model F.
I'm not a pocket person, so I've been trying to get rid of this. I've been trying to get rid of this one. It's complete with the whole thing inside and everything.
Ooh, gee whiz.
See for the manuals, and there it is. It's the with the original batteries that I took out, and I put in a little Ziploc bag because they were leaking everywhere all over the box. But yeah, we just have it there.
Okay.
I really am not a fan of pockets.
Okay, well, maybe you can give me the guest discount.
Don't kill me. Don't kill me, guys.
That's fine. I just had this Model F clear pocket kicking around. I don't really care for it. I don't know what to do with it. You're a monster. Yeah, that's what you are.
It's the funniest thing. I think it was one of my local friends, one of my friends that I hang out with here. He slowly getting into the Game Boy stuff, and he's digging into it and everything. And he walks up to my desk, the little modding space that I have, and he just pulls out, "Why do you have this just laying around there, just thrown out there, just the Pokemon Celebi edition?" I'm like, "It's just there. I don't know. I just leave it there so I don't destroy it. I just have them out, you know."
Yeah, you got to have them out. Like, I appreciate some people really want to just keep everything nice and safe and clean, but at the same time, I work bloody hard. Well, I think I work hard. My boss might think otherwise. And I buy these beautiful things. And so I come into my room, I sit down where I'm recording the podcast, and I'm surrounded by so much greatness. You can only see what's behind me. There's another 3/5 of the room. And I can just sit here with a cup of coffee and look around and just be that sort of 12-year-old dude, and but with an adult budget, and just have a great time. And yeah, things need to be out so you can love them and they can love you back. That's what I think.
You have to do everybody a favor, Scott. And this has been something I was going to bring up to you. So you talk about everything you have behind you and everything, and the only person who gets to see it is the person you're talking to. So you need to post a picture of your room.
Oh, it's my back cave.
Of that work room.
It's my sanctuary.
You have to post a picture of it.
I should look at seeing if I can do like a 360 one, so that you can kind of like, you know, like a 3D one, and you can move around with your phone.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I have to clean up a little, but I keep it pretty tidy. Wow, that's really cool. It's really cool. I love the GameCube, and I do have a fondness for Gundam. I have a lot behind me there, and taught me a lot of.
Is that the new? Is that the new Gundam back there too, next to the Zaku
there? No, I don't have any. I haven't built any Gundam for a couple of years. What I have in that, because there's behind me is 3 of those big IKEA Detolfs. And it's sort of
Mhm.
below there.
I just got two of them. I just got two.
Yeah, they're
Just got
really
two
great.
finally.
They're really great. I wired up some I got these like lights. I don't know if you can see the type that they're just like a puck.
Mhm.
And they're actually each one's battery operated. They came in like a pack of 3. We have an electronics chain over here called JCar. Probably used to be like a Radio Shack. It's that kind of thing, but still quite good. And they were like, they've got a little button that you can press, so they're wireless. But they were battery operated, and they would chew through a pair of double A's in like an hour. I was like, this is never going to work. So all I did was I just kind of, they're just LEDs, so the draw in them must be like so stupidly like nothing. So I just wired them all. It's pretty discreet, but just a bit of wire goes from each one and down the back of one of the rails, and I've just got them all in parallel, like all 3 cabinets. Plus, there's a big shelf behind me. There's a short cabinet here which you can't see, which is like a 2/3 Detolf, and they're all just wired parallel to just a power, like a power brick, a wall wart that I got. Yeah, and so you just press the button and they all come on, and it's just it's nice. But in there next to the Sazabi is the new Gundam, which is the one
I was telling you. The new
so
Gundam.
that's the one that Amuro Ray was fighting Shah in.
Yep.
It's a really good little one-off film because I think it's Shah's Counterattack is the name of that particular one-off Gundam. I know over there, like in the US, you guys got mostly Gundam Wing, and again for Gundam for me, because there's all these different like timelines and stuff, and people are like, what's this do with that? It's like, it's not. It's also slightly all over the show, and you do one or the other. And over there, you guys got a lot of Gundam Wing, so I think a lot of the other Gundam is in the last probably 5 to 10 years has really kind of gone gangbusters. Yeah, cools. So, what was your other sort of like growing up? So you said you had the PlayStation and a bit of GameCube later. Were you ever an arcade rat? Was arcades around when you were kind of kicking?
I didn't really go to arcades because in Florida here we don't have arcades like that unless they're the drinking bar ones.
Right, like
and
arcade.
Never had the opportunity to go to one as a kid. But I did have a Super Nintendo and a SNES. And if whoever knows about the SNES, is just one machine for a home console that's just basically an arcade port for everything.
Yeah, and not terrible either. Like most arcade ports, like people that played the Street Fighter 2 fans are like, the Street Fighter 2 on SNES is actually quite doable and saved me a lot of money.
Still to this day, the game that used to kick my butt as a kid and still does today, where I can't pass the first level, I promise I don't suck at video games, is Super Ghouls and Ghosts. That game is, I don't know how kids back in the day would go to the arcade and even beat the first level, let alone ever beat the game.
Look,
but it's a definitely cool game.
Anything related to that Ghosts and Goblinsy type stuff is just really bloody tricky. I did have I was talking to Tucker Games. He's an Aussie streamer and he speed runs it. And it's like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? And then Neil Cairns is a buddy of mine here in Brisbane. Had Neil on a while ago. Neil is the current world record holder for the arcade Ghosts and Goblins. That's like that weird kind of like, those super Iron Man they do in like Kona in Hawaii, running through like volcanoes and shit. Like, God.
That's just one of those things where I'm like, I can't. The stupid fire guy that's always bringing fire. Those stupid crazy dogs are always killing me in the first level.
The plant, and totes.
I didn't recently get to the second level, so maybe like a month ago, and there's people here speed running it with their eyes closed. But it's one of those games that you just sit down. It's like, do I have a headache yet? Let me go sit down. I'm gonna go play that game, and I'm gonna go get a headache really quick.
The Game Boy Color version, whatever it is, I think it's just Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Goblins.
I have it here in my desk somewhere.
It's really neat. It's quite a good little port. It's quite playable and it feels good, and it's just as frustrating, so it's quite accurate.
For the Game Boy Advance, it's Super Ghouls.
Right? Yeah, wicked. That's a sweet bit of artwork on that cart too.
Literally, probably it feels just like I'm playing the one on the SNES. I can imagine how it is for the arcade. I've never had the privilege to play one, but still get a headache when I'm testing Game Boys. When I whip out a game every now and then, and I'll start just get lost in the game. But that's the one where I test the Game Boy for like 10 seconds, and I just put it back, and I'm like, okay, not this game again. Forget it.
Yeah, I've got a couple of GBAs that are daily players. The first GBA I got was a blatant plug for the sponsor, retrogamestore.com.au, Craig. And it was like the first Game Boy I bought to play, a GBA, IPS, full reshell, all of the new bits that the first guy sort of goes, I want a Game Boy, I want to play stuff. And it served me very well. And then I did like some cap work to get like a D-hum, D-hiss thing. And I put a little amp in it all wired up and stuff. And recently it was playing up. I was just like, it would just power cycle. I run an EverDrive and it would just power cycle. I was like, ugh. And when you're like, 20 minutes into some like Metroid Zero mission and you haven't hit a save room yet, and you're like, you are kidding me. So anyway, I sent it back to Craig and he was really kind to help me out. I think Craig doesn't like to do repairs, but he was willing to help me out because he's such a good egg. And he kind of found that one of my cap legs was sort of coming loose and he sorted some stuff out, but he pulled out my junky old PA 8302 amp and he put in a Helder amp and a Helder power board. And
yeah, those are honestly a game changer. Those power boards and some new capacitors.
It's running smooth as, and by golly, it's freaking loud now. I don't know if it's the cap on the D-hum or whatever, a combination of everything, but it is like almost too loud. So that's great, and I can just enjoy it again. But yeah, a little bit of rework.
I think where it's at for me right now is I'm slowly starting to be more of a fan of the Game Boy Color rather than the Advance, even though I grew up with the Advance. But just that form factor of the Color, just holding it like that so close, and I have really big hands, and I'm like, I'm not 5 years old anymore where I can't hold it, so it's kind of uncomfortable to me. But here's a really cool one, Scott, that I was meaning to show you a little while when I made it. Is I got inspired by your Alien build.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, here, we're showing each other our Alien builds. Yeah, boy.
The Alien build, is that? Did you put a Q5 in that one?
This has a Q5. This was actually it's a Q5. Tristan, Custom Handhelds, did this one for me. He actually gave me the shell because he's such a good boy. And yeah,
so I love cool. It. But something that I was like, Scott, I need a label. The whole concept about it. So I need the concept. I need the concept with yours, and I went above and beyond, and I used one of Natalie's LED boards.
Oh yeah! Oh, look at that! Oh, that's so still like, red, kind of like ominous, and
it's like definitely just that alien green. That's
definitely
just takes over. But it's a cool game. This is the one that I'm taking daily to work. I have a copy of Crystal Clear playing on it.
Right. Yeah. One good thing about the color you're talking about with your hands and stuff is that you can play Pokemon games one-handed. So
yes, you really can.
So you can kind of just use your thumb and just do everything. So you can kind of just lay in bed or on your couch. And the beauty of Pokemon games is that nothing ever happens without you. And so you can kind of just lay there and just sort of use your thumb to do everything. And then you fall asleep and wake up and you're still in the middle of the battle, or you're standing in a field and you haven't been like had all your shit stolen. So that is a good thing about the color.
I really enjoy it. One cool thing that there was kind of a little, I don't really get too involved into drama with the community and everything, and who makes what and who does this and who does that. But I have, like I was saying, I have a Crystal Clear cart.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty neat. Describe that.
So the person who made this, his name was Retro Amped, and there was he was selling them for a while where he did only one batch of it. Right. So it's a Crystal Clear card on a custom PCB flash card drive with etched into the back with Crystal Clear.
Yeah,
that's a little design on it, and it uses the authentic Japanese actual shell from a Game Boy Color game that's a Crystal version. So this is the authentic Crystal Color card. And it runs just like a normal game, like if Nintendo made it. But there was like this drama where he couldn't make it. Shock Slayer, if anybody knows anything about Shock Slayer, the person who made Crystal Clear, he doesn't like his ROM hack being sold.
It's a ROM hack, right?
And that person,
so he's already hacked it.
It's a ROM hack. It's a ROM hack, yeah. So he doesn't like people selling that and making.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
At the end of the day, it's a community thing. So the person who made the PCB, I guess there was a licensing issue with him and whole issue. So he only made one batch run of this game. So I'm just
and you got one
super fortunate to have at least one of them. I was like, I'll give you whatever you want. This is like a must have for me. It's the need, and it's one of those. That's what I've been playing now. It's Crystal Clear is basically a game where you can play Pokemon Crystal, but it's open world, so you can choose your character. You can literally be whoever you want. I think my character right now is a Team Rocket character, and I started off in Kanto in Pewter City, and you can pick whatever starter you want, and it's everything. The whole full game is just unlocked. But
nice.
I just wish people would leave the drama alone. As I was telling Scott a little before we started recording, was that we're just all here to make cool shit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So
it's gonna happen. I mean, people invest a lot of time and money and everything into everything, you know, and it's like it's gonna happen, especially in this day and age where everybody's communicating with 256 characters, and you know, you can't look a person in the eye and sort of say, dude, I'm just trying to skin the cat another way and all that sort of stuff. It's just going to happen. Maybe I'm a bit older and I've had my balls kicked so many times that sometimes you just got to walk away and just accept. But I mean, there are only a number of ways to skin a cat. And just because you thought of a way that's similar to someone else's way on the same month or whatever, you know, like, so at the end of the day, and look at, I guess the other thing I would like to say that sort of stuff is, and I don't like to say much, is that competition's healthy, right? And
it really is. It keeps all these mods coming out better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, stay the same.
There's a new freaking IPS for at least one console like every month. And it's just bonkers. I don't know how these people just keep coming up with these things. Looking at that cart thing you were talking about, I bought one of those. It's like an adapter, and you can plug it in to your PC and go to a web page, and then play like Tetris against someone over the net. So you play, Stack Smasher. Pretty rad dude. But he also for some reason sent me this, like, I don't even know what it is. I guess it's a ROM card. You can see it there, so it's green, like a blank ROM card. But on the back, this is his little logo, like a little, like maybe in a.
It has a little frog on it. Yeah, I think. Yeah, GameDog does those too, where the logo ROM cards.
Yeah, nice.
To get your logo on it, he has his little duck on the back.
Too, that's cool. I've got the here. This is the that Natalie the nerd did it for me, and then on the back. She got her little thing there.
She has a little nerd in the back.
Oh, it's so good.
Like I say, I just, at the end of the day, everybody's like, oh, you can just make it yourself for cheaper. You can do it by yourself. But I just love half the things that everybody makes. Natalie came out last week. What was it, last week? She came out with whenever this podcast releases, it's not going to be last week anymore.
Sometime just
she came out with the RGB slowly changing color lights for the Gameboy Advance LED board, and I was like, she's like, oh, I'm only gonna make 12 of them, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to take 6 of them because they're so freaking cool. And I'm sorry, everybody, but I'm gonna buy them.
Yeah, like I'm slowly getting some stuff, and I think this one I'm gonna show you now and talk about. It's probably where I realized, I get it. Is the Pokemon Pink version from Nintendo DIY?
Yes.
With little Jigglypuff, you know, the two-tone cards of silver gray and pink. When I kind of got that, he was really kind enough to send it to me, and I was like, someone put the time into really kind of making this a thing, and I just freaking love it. And now I'm all sort of like, I'm really kind of looking at Trey all the time because he showed me.
Speaking of Trey, here's 2 of Trey's original generation V. He calls it the V1 carts with the Jelly Belly Customs Nintendo Game Boy on it. And now everybody's veering away from it. So
we're talking about TL hand modding. But he's got the same era of the kind of golden orange cart for Metroid. And it just looks the business. And if he ever has a fire sale, just tell me and I'll buy that.
He needs to come back from wherever he is, and he needs to spit out all those custom carts, because I swear I'll probably end up being the one to buy everything.
Sorry, everybody. Nom 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 nom.
It's just it's like one of those things where you see something extremely cool and you're just like, I don't care how much it costs. Like the gift that everybody, here's my money and get it. Here's my money. Take my money.
It's a really cool thing. It's a funny thing. It's such a chemical reaction that when you see something and the little synapses that mean joy just start firing in your head, and you're like, "What? I think I need that." You know, it's it's close to seeing, you know, an attractive female or male. You sort of go, whoa, that's a good thing. I'm glad that's in the world. And yeah, I love it. I love it. And I like,
especially just anything custom that's basically one of one or one of a couple is just one of those things that instantly in my head I'm like, I kind of need it now.
Yeah,
I've got
a couple of things coming. Them I may already have them and post them by the time this episode goes up. But like 2 things, I'm like, oh my god, builds that I'm just like, God, some people are going to be jealous. Suck it, mine. For a change, it's mine, not everybody else's.
One of those things that we've been going through is Howard Game Duck. He partnered up with Pocket Pirates to release the blue and red. I think it's blue and red, the HD version with the whole full box and everything. And I had an order with him for a couple Game Boys that he's sending me, and I'm like, oh my god, is that when at the time when I bought it, he hadn't released the boxes yet. I was like, do you want $20 more just so you can give me those sample boxes, because I need those. I can't wait. I just need them.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, here you go. Just
nice.
Shut up. Here, just give me the money and leave me alone.
I know a few people.
Howard's a super awesome dude.
Personally, pretty keen on what you were just talking about. They're waiting on that sort of stuff. So let's go back to the modding and stuff a little bit, because I always like to sort of, I don't want people to give away their trade secrets and everything, but with say like the GBAs that you mod that aren't send-ins, do you still find a lot of stuff kind of like locally in the US, or do you have this sort of like, do you have a guy?
I've learned locally and I'm at the end of the day, it's really not a trade secret if there's 100 people doing it already, right?
No, that's right.
Anybody who asks me is like, hey, where do you get those Game Boys, or how much do you get those parts for? Where do you do that? How do you do this? I'm an open book type of guy, you know. At the end of the day, Gameover Customs started as here's a cool Game Boy. I kind of like Game Boys. I collect them, so let's make a backlit one. Posted it, sold it, posted it, sold it. And I was always about just making myself a new one and trying something new. And it is a business, I guess, but my main job is I'm a banker during the day. But this whole Gameover Custom thing is at the end of the day just to support the community, give back. If you can't afford a $300 Game Boy, here's a free one, because I'm just courteous, and I would just, if you have a good conversation and seem like a genuine person, at the end of the day, I just love what I do. And at the end of the main cause of everything was just to have a way to fund my collection. But back to the how do I get my Game Boys? Locally, I will say to anybody right now is a big no-no. Don't buy locally. Local is expensive. There's no such thing as going to, you'll still find it, because I have a cool story about a little nice garage sale find that I did recently, but it's just, there's a million other people doing it. Everybody, they don't have their priorities really straightened out. But the best way to get Game Boys is go on eBay, talk to somebody in Japan, find a Japanese seller, speak to them. Half the time they won't know what you're selling or what you're saying. Go on to Google Translate, make the effort to talk to them. They really, really appreciate that. Everybody in Japan, Scott, I remember you another day on the podcast, you said that you were in Japan a couple of times.
Yeah, once.
They're just phenomenal, wholehearted, and amazing people. And
yeah, and they appreciate when you put the effort in to you know, talk to them, and you know, with just be polite, you know.
Just talk to them. At the end of the day, where I get my Game Boys from was because I made connections through eBay sellers that are in Japan, and now they are actively like, hey, look, I found 2 more Game Boys. Do you want them? And I'm like, put it in the stash. When you get 50 of them, send it to me.
Oh,
so then it's just
your own private little Sendico, just like from one dude.
Yeah, and that's how I get my Gamecubes too. Everything in Japan, I don't know what it is about American people and Japanese people, but the Japanese take care of their stuff like it's gonna last forever.
It seems to be that way, doesn't it?
Here, you like this DMG I was telling you about, Scott, the one with the cream cheese,
the cream cheese screen.
Lens. This, you won't find this anything even like this quality in Japan. This thing is destroyed beyond recognition, I'll say. But anything you buy over there, and if they're willing to help you, they're they're just great people. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I gotta say about them. That's one day we will go to Japan, and one day I'll meet all the handful of friends that I've made over there.
That would
And
be awesome. Huh?
they just want to be my tour guide and expect pictures and videos and whenever this COVID situation ever goes away.
Yeah,
but
it's
on my bucket list.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I agree. It's actually from my family. We like you said, and I've said a million bloody times. We went like back in 2018, I think it was, and it's on our. It's as soon as the world comes on an even keel again, it's our first trip without a doubt to Japan.
And the first thing I'm going to do is take a picture next to that real life-size Gundam, because there's only 3 of them in the world. There's one in Japan, there's one in Korea, and I think there's one in Vietnam. I think it is. There's only 3 Gundams. So
Diver City at
awesome.
Odaba, it's got the unicorn there. Like I was like way deep when we went, and I get off the train and you're kind of walking like it's a big mall, a really big mall, and I go off the train, I kind of walk around the back, and as I walk around it, you start to see it come up over like the little grassy knolls, walk around, and I was getting closer, and I was like, oh my god, I was like a little 7-year-old or 10-year-old kid just like losing my shit. And you stand there and you look at it, and it just fills in all the bits of your imagination because you're watching anime, and you just go, oh wow, that thing's bonkers.
Definitely one of the things on my bucket list to do. But I will say, don't give up on local finds. You'll never know what you'll find on Facebook Marketplace. What you'll find on Craigslist. The other day I went and picked up my first ever Game Gear.
Oh, nice.
And I went to go pick up some GameCube games. And I was like, hey, are you selling anything else? The GameCube games were a little bit around the market price.
Always ask.
So, you know what?
Always ask.
Hey, do you have anything else? And she's like, I have this broken Sega Game Gear and it doesn't work. And I was like, okay, if it doesn't work, how much do you want for it? And she's like, $5. I was like, okay, $5. I get home, it has Sonic on it. I drop six AA batteries into this beast, and it powers on. There's no audio, but it powers on. I was speaking to Nacho Macho. I don't know if you know.
Love him. Yeah, love his gear. Love his work.
That man is a legend. And I'm also with the whole speculation against Retro 6 and Luke and everything, but they're just phenomenal people. And the guidance that they gave me, and also Dustin as well, he used to work for, I think, Handheld Legend.
Yep.
And he's like, they're just recap this, take this out, do this, do that, and you'll come back. And I'm like, hold on. I don't know how to do caps. I'm afraid of doing caps. Can you do this for me? So it's one of those things that is just on my desk there, just waiting for the time or the patience to mess it up, because I was looking up Sega Game Gears are like $75. And it's like, okay, imagine getting one of these back in the day and playing with 6 AA batteries. How are you going to walk with a 4-pack of batteries in your pocket?
For like 45 minutes, and then
for like 45 minutes.
I'm out of ammo. Just gotta keep going.
It's just one of those things that is like, there's still deals out there, but it's just not really worth breaking your phone and losing all your phone data and everything, looking on Facebook and forever. Just hit up eBay, talk to some Japanese people, make some friends. It's all about the community. Just make some friends. And at the end of the day, if they have something, if not, it's a cool little conversation. They'll end up sending you some snacks. That's for sure. Yeah,
and it definitely it's definitely worth asking. Like, if you're going to go and buy something, I always ask, like, oh, you got anything else? And often they'll be like, got a swing set. It's like, no, that's not what I was talking about, kind of thing. You're definitely asking. You never know what you might find. What in my part of the country / world / universe, you won't get any Game Boy in almost any condition. If it powers on and beeps, it's going to be $100. People are just so savvy now. They're so savvy, and they're so stupid, because some of these things are not worth $100. What I've done recently is I will get 3 or 4 at a time from J4U, and that's in Japan. He/she/them, they have an eBay store, but I just go straight to the webpage and they'll list them there, and they'll show like not working, or the problem. It's very simple. Now, I'm not like you or other guys that are kind of like, I know of people. I had Tristan on here, Custom Handhelds, and he did this massive order from somewhere or whatever in Japan. And I think it was like freaking $2,000, but he had like 50 Game Boys or 60 Game Boys. So he really like loaded up his cellar. and they kind of get him going for a long time. Whereas I just want 2 or 3 or 4 here and there. So I got like a DMG and a couple of colors, some lenses missing, a speaker missing, a few bits and pieces. But once I pull them out and do the reshells and stuff, they're perfectly fine.
One thing I will say, that don't be afraid to, if the Game Boy doesn't work 99% of the time, just clean the power switch. And if you clean it through the outside while taking it apart and it still doesn't power on, go and desolder the power switch, just the 2 corners, just pry it off and just pops off, and just clean on the inside, and 90% of the time it'll just come back to life.
Right.
It's just crazy how great tech was made back then. Now
so
you try to do that to a PS5 that overheated, good luck with that.
So
you're never getting it to work.
So like I said, I wouldn't get a Game Boy for $100. I got these 3, and obviously once the shipping is sort of like what makes it, but I got these 3 for about $53 each. That's half price, and I get them within a couple of weeks. So if you've got plans and you know what you're doing and you don't need something today, it's fine. I still get a lot of like random pockets for like $80 off eBay, because the pocket is the unloved stepchild, which is fine for me because it's my favorite. It just feels fantastic.
So you're gonna have to buy my Model F, Scott.
We might talk. Yeah, who knows? I have seen them around. There's a really nice one around recently, but it's got a the polarizer's burnt, so it's like $75, but it's just, it's like a Mustang with two doors kicked in. It's like so close.
The coolest mod that I keep seeing now, Tito just made a video on it, Nacho Macho Productions on on YouTube. He just redid a Game Boy Color Light.
Oh,
and
really?
He put an OSD screen on it with the whole transparent Game Boy Pokemon Edition shell and everything. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing those. Those are $250 a Game Boy, and I'm just gonna keep it mint. I'm not gonna wreck that one.
Yeah. I've got a light sitting up there. It's a gold light. It was the first really, really, really nice thing I bought, and I got that from J4U. I paid over $200 for it. No box or anything, but it's amazing. I mean, even like at that point, that was a few years after the original DMG, and they were only just starting the backlight shit. I was like, man, you guys are going to pull it together. But it's the simplicity in the tech, the costing that allowed Nintendo to just keep soldering on.
Wonder what happened with Nintendo. They came out with the DMG, it wasn't backlit. They threw out the Game Boy Light, it was backlit. Throughout the Pocket, not backlit. Game Boy Color, not backlit. GBA, not backlit. They didn't put a backlit console until the DS. But I was like, you guys did it correct like 20 years ago. What happened? What's happening here?
But they sold a squillion because they were half the price, and they didn't require 6 AA batteries for 45 minutes of play.
Yep.
I guess.
And they didn't have stupid little AAA batteries either.
Yeah, and the Pocket did. The Light doesn't. The Pocket's
the light. I've never held a light in my hand, so you can tell me, Scott. The Game Boy Light's just a larger version of the Pocket, I assume, right?
It's 90% of it is exactly the same as a Pocket, but where the battery bay is slightly different because the Pocket uses AA's over AAA's.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just because it's like, and the light is interesting. Like even with the backlight on, because it's got a 3-position switch instead of a 2-position power switch. So even with the backlight on, like you can play that thing in the dark, no problems.
Might have to go and find one of those and add it.
Game changer. If you're playing Game Boy back then and you want to play like after dark, like under your blankets when your parents said turn the lights out, and you buy the Pocket and you don't tell them it's a light, and you're like, suckers, you can play that thing in the dark. At my age, it's still hard. There's still a little bit of a screen blur and stuff. But when you're like 10 and your eyes are like, like laser focus, that thing would have just been the business.
That's me when I do so I just started offering, since let's get back to talking to mods and stuff.
Yeah.
Where do I have it here? Here it is. Haven't done it yet, but it's HDMI out for the GameCube.
Oh yeah.
Directly soldered to the motherboard, and I have the whole kit in here and everything, in the little cup that I have.
Yeah.
And it's one of those mods where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about messing up a GameCube yet. So let's put that on the back burner for right now. But just plugging in the GameCube when I put them together and do everything to them, and it's still the AV port, and my GameCube in the living room it has the Castlevania forgot what it's called. There's GCHD. It's a little plug that you put in the back of the GameCube and it spits out HDMI.
Yeah.
And you look at it and I plug it into my CRT, the AV plug one. I'm like, I don't remember it looking this bad. I always thought Need for Speed was like the best quality looking game back then in the GameCube. There's something wrong with this TV, or it's just my eyes, or I don't know.
Is this into a CRT? Are you talking about into a CRT or into your LCD?
Into a CRT, GameCube into the CRT. So it's, you can still see the blocky. It's not HD, but I remember it back in the day playing as a kid. It's like, this is amazing. Look at that Ferrari. It looks
but that's when you were young and you hadn't had all this like stuff, you know, like you're a freaking 4K Call of Duty like PS5 player. So you're such a snob now.
It's just unreal how crazy those HDMI mods are. And it's like, I plugged it into the other one, into the HDMI HD TV. And it's just crazy. It's, if there was this type of video gaming back then, like that we have now, PS5, when I was a kid back then, I would never go outside. Forget going outside. Just now I know why kids stay inside all day long. And, you know the works.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to have had nothing as a child, and even as an adult. Like the first console I bought was a Wii. We got given it for Christmas. So everything to me is, there's more of the art, and I love the CRT. I've got a 29 Sony, and I've got a little 14-inch that Nostech gave me, which just looks brilliant, like brilliant, as in the word brilliant. And I can still really appreciate the gorgeousness of the art and the way it works. But I did speak to Joe Bleeps again, the man, about, because he's a big GameCube guy. And I spoke to him about his HDMI options, because I don't want to mod mine. Like mine's got the GC loader. I can literally undo, as you know, about 45 screws, lift that thing out and put the optical drive, which is on ice. I can just drop it back in.
Nintendo back then did have it. They went wild with the screws. They would, at least, what is it? I have one open here. It's 4 on one side. It's about 12 screws just to hold down. I'm like,
feels like 45.
You could have done it with 3. Come on.
Yeah. So the one that
Nintendo, why did you give me 4,500 screws?
The one that Joe recommended is the Kaiko HDMI. So it's external. But it uses,
have to make sure you have to have the dual HDMI. So something that I've seen about people who send me their GameCubes, they're like, oh, I want it for the Kaiko GCHD. Okay. You need the two ports. Okay, I'm going to unplug mine. We're going to do some little assessment here. I believe I'm good. I have one over here. Check this out, Scott. Check this out. Here's one that I was sent in. It only has one.
Okay, so look here. Look at mine. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
It only has one. For some reason, the later GameCubes, when they came out, they got rid of the digital out. So everybody knows how crazy those component cables are for the GameCube.
Yeah, right.
They got rid of it. So when I get sent in a GameCube, I'm like, oh, I want it so I can do the HDMI to my TV, my LCD TV, and everything. And I'm like, but buddy, I'm sorry to tell you to burst your bubble, but you only have one port in the back. It's not going to work. And then they're like, oh no, and then I get bummed out. But hey,
that's the one for me. So that's the one I'm going to get. The problem I'm having is even though I've got like my room with my kind of analog, RCA, and threw a bunch of switches in here, but even in my TV in the living room, for a guy that doesn't game much, like in there is a PS4, a PS3, a Wii, and a Wii U. I run out of HDMI ports on my Bravia, so I need to invest in like a HDMI switch.
But you have a Wii. Can't the Wii can play GameCube games? Am I right?
Yeah, but what you've got to do, probably the way to really do it is because a Wii U can play. If you like, I've jailbroken my Wii U, but you can also jailbreak a Wii U to play Wii and GameCube games. But you just run a hard drive connected to the back. But you can't have, even though you've got multiple USB ports, you can't have a hard drive plugged in for Wii U games and a hard drive plugged in for Wii/GameCube. So you could hot swap your drives, but I don't like to have to unplug everything. Like I have multiple AV cables. If I take my GameCube or something to someone's house, I'm like, I've got my go bag. So when I unplug my loom from my switches and all that sort of shit.
The wife calls it behind my media center. She calls it the spaghetti.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the pride.
I can tell you guys, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
You
I
don't
did
have
some wire management, but it's not that bad.
you
Okay.
don't have to say anything
Did
because
my
we've all
best.
got it. If you've got more than 3 consoles, we've all got it. It's behind there. No
Yeah,
one cares. It's if
I think I
if
have
people
it.
knew about what was under the streets, the sewage and the telephone lines and the power lines, they would lose their mind. It's the same. It's there for a reason.
It is.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, it's just the fact that now, since I do live on my own and I don't live at my parents' house anymore, just coming home and you can just boot up the Xbox 360 and start playing some Left 4 Dead, or you can boot up and play some Turtles in Time. Let me see if I can show you a picture, just so I can show you how my setup is.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Oh, yep.
And then I don't know for everybody who's listening, the most recent picture that I posted, one of the most recent ones on Instagram, I have it now where I finally put the final touch on it. Where I
the
have
purple glow.
the PlayStation neon logo in the back and everything.
You got
It's just so surreal. So surreal to sit down and
the opposing forces. You got the PlayStation 1 on the left, and then the Mario question mark block on the right. And it's like this.
So here's the funny part, where the Mario block is on that picture is all PlayStation, and on the other side is all Nintendo stuff. And I'm like, I should have switched them, but the cable didn't reach. So whenever I get a chance to sit there and move all my games, I would move my games over.
The only thing that would,
but that's the rough concept.
The only thing that would bug me is like, because you got your wireless router in the middle. Does the lights flick on the front of your router when it's talking?
No. So that's why I have that. That is the Nighthawk AC 800 or something like that.
Yeah,
they don't flick. They don't.
Yeah, I can't have any lights in front of me when I'm watching my TV. Like I go and put bits of tape over everything. because I'm like a squirrel, and it's just if I'm tired and I'm grumpy and old, I don't need no lights flicker, and I'm trying to watch a movie here, and I'm just like.
So the lights that I have behind that media center, you can control it over the app, and you can do whatever you want. And I'll be in the middle of a Call of Duty match with my friends, and it's all dark in there, and all of a sudden my wife just turns on the sirens like if the police are coming into the house, and I'm like, what is going on?
Your eyes are gonna adjust and stuff. Yeah.
It's cool. Man. It's cool. It's fun. I have for the CRT that they were talking about. I also have a Tritron 24-inch. It's in the room on the floor right now, but
yeah, that's a good size.
I want to make one of those AV carts, like how Tito Nacho Macho. I tell him every day I'm one of his fangirls. We consider him a friend. We speak almost every other day. Yeah. And let's just say I'm like, Tito, you have to just text me before you put a video out so I can block YouTube on my phone so I don't go and want to spend more money.
Yeah, for sure.
Making all this cool crap, and it's just hard to keep my money in my wallet. When
I love his videos. I think there's a fine balance between really good production value, right at the tip of the spear on what's really cool, and also a really balanced kind of opinion on, is it worth it? I've done it for you. Look, I think it's pretty great. If it's something you enjoy doing, then do it. I think whenever Tito says this is a must do and anybody can do it, you can 100% trust that it's a must do.
That's and it's 80% of his videos are a must do, and it's like, here we go again. Let me go get the wallet again and buy something.
Yeah. He must be a teacher or something, because I find people like that are able to kind of really deliver knowledge in a way that makes you feel like I can do this. And there's always a certain personality that can sort of make it seem very achievable, and also cool.
And so the best part about that is you don't really judge a book by its cover ever, but and it's just one of those things where like, oh, his production's great, he must be a snobby guy, but you talk to him and it's like the most wholesome, the best experience. That it's he loved the GameCube, and he obviously the GameCube, everybody just wants to do the GC loader stuff. And I was like, Tito, I'm gonna send you an orange GameCube, man. I got it for like $50. Send me your address. Do a freaking video on it. Right. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'll probably learn a thing or two of the GameCubes that I'm doing myself. And he did such a good job. I hate him. For that.
Being so good and so nice. They're the worst kind of people.
He's such a freaking awesome guy.
Yeah, awesome.
But another cool thing that we do, Scott, that I just remembered, that I don't know if I've ever told you, but we do retro bright. We bring those
Oh, cool.
PP yellow
Yeah.
consoles, and we just revive it. Let me
Well,
go grab that.
Well, one of the colors I picked up off that little haul recently, as I said to you, is it's got a speaker fault. I think it's a donor, but it's a clear shell, and yeah, it looks like it's full of wee or beer or something. So
you can throw that into the retro brighting service.
Yeah.
With the little mod here, let me see if I can shine the light on it.
Oh,
this was once yellow.
Look at
yellow,
that
like,
North American,
like
North American Super Nintendo here with the purple slidey buttons and stuff.
Here it was just PP yellow.
Yeah,
and you just throw it into an AV bath, and it looks brand new. And people usually say, "Oh, retro brighting, it'll come back to being yellow in like 5 years or something." And I'm like, you know what? If it gets yellow again, I'll just put it back in the thing. But it's not going to be as horrible yellow as it was.
Yeah.
Like if you spilled lemonade on it or anything.
Yeah. So the one I have here that I picked up recently, this is a very yellow one, right? Look at that.
So that one is the prime. It just mind blows. It's like, Scott, why don't you live next door to me, man? Let me put that in my AV bath thing that I have here.
I'm doing well. This has got holes. This has got holes punched in it and stuff. This has a purpose in life, and I'm going to hold out. Well, no, screw it. I'm actually is it RGR Dev doing the clear shells?
Yes, he's the one doing the clear shells.
I'm getting one.
You gotta drop it in there.
Yeah. So the whole idea with I can't remember who I ordered it through, but that's like it was a couple $100, but I also got this for $30. This SNES.
It's just
it works fine. So that still comes out to be a pretty good mod. Like if you get a Game Boy Color and you beef that up, you're sort of talking around for a chump like me, $200 to $250. I'm well ahead. So those shells, there was like a minimum order to punch the batch out of 500. And I messaged them just on their posts a couple of days ago, like, and it was a whole really good way of going about it. It's not a kind of like a Patreon or a Kickstarter. It's just like pre-order it. If we don't meet the numbers, we'll just fully refund everybody. That's no big deal. That's a really honest, upfront way of going about it. So I pre-ordered it like a week or so ago, and he had a post, and I was like, "Hey, I'm really kind of keen and nervous. Do you know if this is going to happen?" And his response was, "Shipping very soon." I was like, "Yes! Oh man, it's going to be so good, so good." Crystal clear SNES.
That's one of those things, Scott. If for everybody listening, if you don't jump on that and get it now, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And whatever price it is, I picked I think I picked up 2 of them for the clear for my personal one and for a friend of mine. And if that's one of those things, if once the pre-order is done and they ship out the 500, I'm pretty sure they're never going to make any ever again.
It's going to be beautiful.
Just like the DMG Pi builds that I think Kite, the maker of that is Kite Circuits. That he made the PCB for the DMG where it makes it a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And I missed out on that. And let's just say he's never making any more. He's done. He's out of the game. And if you want to get one, you have to either get one from someone who has it or somebody who's selling the kit for ridiculous amounts.
Yeah, you've got to have your finger on the pulse. It's the same as those stack smashing things. So there's a thing I was talking about where you can play your Game Boy online.
Oh,
I got a post up there. I designed a little 3D printed case for it because it's effectively his board, and then you get a Pico, a Raspberry Pi Pico. You probably can't see it, but if you look at my post and
where do you plug that into?
So what you do is in there is the mini USB or micro, whichever one. So that goes into your PC/laptop. And then this end, there's 2 headers. So one is for DMG and one is for GBC or GBA. And so you plug your Game Boy into one end and you plug the USB cable into your laptop. And there's a web page.
How does that go? How does that go into your Game Boy though?
Well, you use your link cable
visually. Oh, you're using the link cable. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you use the web page, and it's really simple. Then you basically create a server, and then I give you like a code, whatever, 4625, whatever, and you hook up the same one, and then I'm playing you. I'm playing Tetris against you.
on Tetris
You're going to have
on
one of
your
these as
Game
well.
Boy.
Really
On your
rad.
Game Boy.
Haven't used it yet because I'm trying to hook up with Craig, and we both are adults, and it becomes challenging because it has to involve a couple of beers. And
See,
you can't just
Scott.
do it for 2
Now
minutes.
you have me writing it down over here, saying, okay, now I need to buy this Tetris thing so I can play Scott on.
That's right. Exactly. Please do. Please do.
It's
I just
it's one it's
so
one
rad.
of those things that are cool. One cool thing, I don't know if you guys have ever, if you Scott yourself has ever heard of Free Play Tech. Ed, his name is Ed. He's the one who makes the Raspberry Pi builds
Right.
for the GBA. This is the other one for the GBA. And right now, I just can't wait for COVID to be finished. So Ed from Free Play Tech, here's what the GBA motherboard looks like for a Raspberry Pi build.
Oh wow, that's neat.
So
It's a red board and it's good to go. And I'm sort of waiting for like this FPGA stuff to kind of hit the GBA market. Like it's got to be out there.
So the craziest thing about these boards, Scott, they've been out of stock for about over a year. And I've been on him like, hey, what are you doing? When are we gonna make more? How are you gonna make more? I made my Boxy Pixel one that you can see on my page.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, it's not that I don't want to make more, but it's just COVID. There's no parts, there's nothing. He's like, I can sell you, I have boards, I have about 50 boards ready to go, but I just don't have the actual CM3 compute module, the light kit, the actual Raspberry Pi chip. He doesn't have them. And it's like, oh, when are you gonna get them in stock? He's like, oh, sometime 2022. And it's like they're really that back ordered. And he sent me about 4 of them. And I had to do a giveaway for 2 of them, but it's just there's no Raspberry Pis to put in the Raspberry Pi. So
it looks like you might have. Looks like yes, this is the SAM3 as well. I think I remember seeing that Metal Jesus dude had one done like a year or 2 ago. Looks like he's got a bit of stock in now because he has things that says out of stock. So yeah.
So you can order the Free Play Tech board. You can order it, but it won't come with the Raspberry Pi. The actual chip, the actual little board that plugs into the back, that's the actual brain of the GBA that does the emulation station and RetroArch and stuff. They're just out of stock.
Right. So you need to add a Pi 0 or a 0W or a 0WH. That's okay. That stuff's achievable, right? So that's about $90 US for that complete board with the screen and the header and
it brings
everything.
The speaker, it brings the battery, it brings everything. I would say if he really makes this stuff in batches, so it's only one dude. I'm assuming it's only one dude, which is Ed. Shout out to Ed. He's a phenomenal dude. He's the owner of Free Play Tech. And if you're into Raspberry Pi and you want a Raspberry Pi or Game Boy Advance, I would go over there right now and pick up a board. Even if it doesn't have the Raspberry Pi actual CM3 compute module, just whenever they go back in stock anywhere, you can get them anywhere. They're about like $14, $15 for the board. And just have it there waiting for a sunny day, waiting for it to come to life. But
for sure.
Dude's amazing.
Amazing. I only heard about that online DMG thing through Craig. Was kind of like, have you ever heard of this? And I was like, no. And then I watched it. I was like, what? And I bought 4. I bought one for Craig, like commissioner's fee, and he's rad. And I need someone to play in my time zone. And I bought, 3 for me, 1 for myself. My wife plays, so if she ever goes away on a work trip, she can take the DMG in her laptop and play, and just a backup, because you always got to have one of everything an extra.
So here's my actual Raspberry Pi Game Boy Advance.
Nice little
Boxy Pixel. This is shout out to Killhall. He works for a company that laser engraved. So this is laser engraved.
Oh, right. That's your logo, the GBA with the Gameover Customs. That's cool.
And then here, when you open it, it has my logo on the inside. So this was kind of weird. I haven't posted it yet because I haven't been told yet to post it. So Scott, you have the honors to see it here.
Well, it looks amazing.
It has my logo laser engraved, and it says Boxy Pixel powered by Pi. So it was for us 3, and then here's my actual Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. The Boxy Pixel stuff, it's really that good, right? It feels that good.
It feels good, but I will be honest with everybody listening, and to you, Scott. But it's one of those things that you make it once and you're like, this is impractical. This is a freaking soap bar in my hand. As soon as my hand sweats even a little bit, it's like, the weight is very nice to it. The way I've been playing with it,
especially the 100% humidity, right?
100% humidity.
Yeah.
That's maybe you'll have better luck up there, T from Peck City, maybe with the snow and stuff. Zero humidity.
Yeah. Maybe it'll actually warm your hands up.
But the best way that I've been playing with that one is I hook it up. It has an HDMI mini on it. The actual free play tech board has it.
Yeah.
And you plug a mini to a large HDMI out and you can plug it into your TV. Get a Bluetooth dongle and you can hook up your PS5 controller while playing Mario Kart on the GBA on your TV. Like if it, so this is my version of the tech geek switch.
Yeah.
You can plug it into your TV and just play away.
Yeah. The only boxy pixel that I really, really, really want, and I'm gonna have to drop money on it eventually, is the macro. That thing's amazing.
The cool thing about Nick from Boxy Pixel, so I like to talk to my personality as being a Hispanic is I like to talk to everybody. So I will spam you and talk to you until someone talks to me. And I always end up getting the owners of, for example, Retro 6, Boxy Pixel, and I just make great friends with them. That's how I met Tito from Nacho Macho. And it's just that relationship where it's like, hey, you couldn't tell me 2 weeks ago you were going to do custom anodization to the Game Boys. Like, why did it have to settle on black when I can do like magenta or something?
Yeah. That's wicked.
And he's like, I couldn't tell you. And I'm like, okay, I know how it is.
Well, you don't trust me? Come on.
It would have, but they're. I haven't met anybody in the community yet where they're like, oh, don't talk to him. That guy's horrible people. He's super bad energy. It's like I can only say good things about everybody. Of course, there's wherever community you go in, there's going to be drama. Yeah. But just once you look past it, and like I told you, Scott, we're just here to make cool shit. And at the end of the day, if I take something from retro modding, retro 6, and something from retro game repair shop, and I take everything together just to make that one cool thing, then my mission was a success.
I think the secret to a harmonious community is for everybody to make their own relationships with people as opposed to a relationship based on other people's relationships. Look, obviously there's been people in history that were really bad people, and you should take advice and you should not sign up for that kind of way of life. But generally there's going to be a beef between someone, or there's just going to be like, hey, I don't like your hat, or whatever it is. You might be fine with the hat. Just relax and just keep making cool shit and making people happy. I 100% agree with you.
What it's all about.
Unfortunately, this community is pretty good. Like, I don't get into the Call of Duty headshot, chicks shouldn't be gamers kind of bullcrap communities at all. Does not interest me in the slides for any reason. And I'm so glad that this community, the generally retro gaming, apart from, the kind of the beefing up and the bubble of prices, it's so good. Like, it's really so good. And that's just me being selfish because I don't want to spend so much money, but that's life, right?
Especially this community is one of those communities. So being in Facebook, so I'm in the Xbox gamers, I'm in the PlayStation community, I'm in Nintendo, and you can just tell the difference in like, hey, look, Scott, I remember I saw that one post you did. You were looking for this Game Boy from 2 months ago. Do you still want it? Because I found one. It's like, who are you again? And how did you see my stuff? But cool, I'll buy it then. It's just the coolest thing.
No suspicion.
Just no complaints.
I think what really sets specifically the Game Boy stuff apart from a lot of other communities is that there's a real and I remember when I first spoke to Nat the Nerd, and she's like, there's a real maker thing, and it's very rare I hear someone use the term maker. I'm a big fan of like Adam Savage and Mythbusters and stuff, and some of the community that guy's in is like, they're all freaking engineers and astronauts and shit like that, and like they are making from scratch and enjoying the thrill. They're enjoying the thrill of knocking out amazing things, but also enjoying the thrill of failure. And there's lots of people in the background that we benefit from, these Boxy Pixels and all the other different companies, the Marcos and the Titos. And you sent Tito a GameCube and it turned out fine, but I guarantee there's at least a dozen things he attempted that we don't know about. He learned his lesson, and we get to benefit from it.
he was telling me that he's like, sometimes I have to redo the whole thing all over
Yeah,
again and
yeah,
deassemble everything just
yeah,
to make it one more time so that it comes out good in the video.
yeah, yeah.
That's so. Here's one of my proudest moments. I did I don't know if you've seen it,
So it's a
but
black
it's a Game Boy
GBC.
Color. It's a black Game Boy Color,
Yeah.
and it has Natalie the Nerd's blue button
Oh,
kit,
right.
and it has
And
the new laminated
yeah,
Q5 LCD kit,
yeah, yeah. Look at that.
and I just did a
USB-C.
USB-C.
Yeah,
It might
yeah.
be it's a little bit too to the right, but there's no perfect way to cut a
Mm,
USB.
mm,
But my proudest moment was putting a battery together for the first time.
look at that.
And I was like, I took it to work, I charged it at work, and I'm like, guys, if the bank blows up, sorry,
If it burns
but I don't
down,
want to.
we're insured,
But I don't
right?
want to leave it at. I don't want to leave it
Mm,
at home charging. It didn't blow up, so I mean,
yeah,
it's one
good.
of those. It's one of those cool things that it's like
For sure.
I keep doing these. Just Helder and Mako Retro 6 Retro modding. Just keep pushing out all the cool stuff.
For
I'm
sure.
dying to try all of it, and it's at the end of the day, we're all here to make cool shit.
Yeah, yeah. We're all here to make cool shit. Hey, listen, we might just sort of look. I've had you for, geez, an hour and 40 now. I really appreciate your time. It's a Saturday evening where you are. I'm gonna sort of move into a few little shout outs here. I'm gonna do one for myself, and then like I've got a big list here of people that you've mentioned throughout the episode. But yeah, I'll give you the opportunity to kind of some shout outs or encourage people to go and check out someone else. I just want to mention, I'm gonna try and pronounce this properly, Veda Mandenis. So this is Daniel Marquez. Daniel Marquez is a Portuguese collector, gaming room curator, and retro gaming fan. Now, it's one, you see a lot of those kind of sort of reposter type, grams where it's like, this is this owned by that person, this is this owned by that person. Daniel's Instagram looks like that, but it's all his own stuff. He's freaking bonkers. It's like a museum.
What is his name, Scott? What is his name again, Scott?
So I'll spell it VEDDERMANDENIS. Yeah, Vetamandenis. Daniel Marquez. Yeah. So his logo is kind of like Vetaman and then Dennis with one N, but it's all one word. And yeah, I mean, he's got some amazing stuff. His recent post is a Winnie the Pooh CRT with a PlayStation 3 plugged into it. It's a freaking crazy crap. But yeah, I would encourage everybody to put that in your feed, because if you've got a hankering to spend some money on cool rad crap,
this is screaming danger to me.
Yeah, this guy will fire you up. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, that's me. Thank you, Daniel, for sharing your love and your collection, and just making me realize there's so many things I want. Damn you. Yeah, so you're up. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned a bunch of people already. I mean, you mentioned Boxy Pixel, Q Hall, our boy up in the cold white land, Peg City, Trey from TO Hand Modding. We've talked about Joe. Division 6, Nat, she gets a mention all the time. We've talked about Retro 6 and Tito, Nacho Macho. So yeah, and Game Duck UK. So look, if you've got any others you want to sort of throw in there, Jelly Belly we talked about. If you've got a couple of others,
Jelly Belly.
Yeah, I know. But last time,
just on a
last time you
level.
mentioned God of Gaming Shop, like before the show, we were talking about that.
God of Gaming was, imagine this, the first ever Game Boy Color. So I've always modded PS2s and hacked PS2s and stuff. That was always my little thing. But then he's the reason that I came into seeing Game Boys. Him and Greg, Game Changer Mods.
Yeah.
So God of Gaming, he's not a person. It's like he's a person, but he's not a person. It's like he's a shop. So
right.
God of Gaming, I don't know his name.
Yeah.
He sells custom Game Boys, the same thing. He's been doing it for forever. And I picked up a white Game Boy Color from him. White Game Boy Advance, I'm sorry. And that's just what opened the floodgates.
That was the catalyst.
I took that thing apart and I'm like, there's a GBAS piece created here. That's what's backlit. This thing, I have like 3 GBAs at the house. Let me see if I can put this together. Failed that mod completely because I didn't know that I needed the ribbon cable connector.
Yeah,
and then right there, it opened the floodgates, and I just made my own. And shout out to that guy for putting me out here and meeting all these cool people.
So he's been both a blessing and a burden.
He's one of those. But yeah, God of Gaming, Game Changer Mods, Greg, cool, super cool guy. That guy is. I wish I had the mustache he has, but it doesn't. It's not growing in like that.
Yeah, he's a good egg. I had him on as well, and his book's really a great thing to pick up, whether it be for yourself or a gift for someone else, because there's a lot going on.
Definitely needs to make a new book.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. What I like about Greg's book is that if you're the type that, like, for me, say I might pick up a DMG, it's pretty good, but it's got some vertical lines that I can't fix, or I might want to do a bivert or things like that. But you can just get in that book, and if you're the sort to, like, some people might get an old Mustang, a 72 Mustang, and they want that Mustang to be as original as possible, and so they need an original, like, workshop manual to bring that car back to its original state and just appreciate it like that. And Greg's book is a lot like that. And it's got a lot of little comics and tales and stuff. And it really feels like you're kind of sitting there with Greg and he's teaching you. And it's actually a beautiful book. And I think if you have books in your life, you can just sit and flick through them. You don't have to have noise. It's great.
If Greg is definitely listening to this podcast right now, he definitely needs to come out with part 2 to that book, because we're so far ahead now into other things. Like, one person that I saw on Facebook, that this is what I say, I like sharing everything with everybody. There's Bluetooth mods now for the Gameboy Advance. I need to know how to do how can I connect my AirPods to my Gameboy Advance so I can play it on the airplane? Like, I know I can plug in headphones, but who has headphones with the audio jack anymore, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's one of those things.
I play pretty much all my, like, at the moment I'm playing through Metroid Fusion, and the soundtrack's just like so good. And I play just with a pair of headphones, because even though, like, Craig, like, put my thing on roids with all the elder parts, there's still that loss of bass and clarity, and there's a bit of hum and hiss. Through headphones, it's the business. And I would love nothing more with, like, zero lag Bluetooth headphones. That would be the business. So for that reason only, just Greg, write another book just for that. That'll do.
That's been on the mod scene lately coming out. I've been seeing the last couple of days Bluetooth audio mods for the Game Boys. But I will eventually find out one person who wants to tell me how to do it. But Tito, if you're listening to this, please, we need a video, SOS. We need a tutorial video.
Yeah. He has done one, I think, on SP, because he did the one with the whole, like, he did like a rechargeable or a battery mod or something, where he, like, had printed like a new bottom for it, like a fat bottom or something. And I'm pretty sure there's a Bluetooth mod in that. So he's like, been there, done, go to my back catalog. Yeah. All right. Well, look, buddy, thank you so much for your time. I'm really glad we caught up. I've been wanting to catch up. I mean, we've been chatting. You're probably one of the, like you said, you're a chatter. So every time I'm kind of like, hey, is this date? And you're like, yeah. And then it's like 30 minutes of back and forth. And I really like meeting people like that. It's easy to get it done. So was before we were talking about your setup with your living room. And one thing I was going to say, and I'm not going to be that guy that says, hey, you're going to have to do this, but your beautiful setup there with all your consoles down low, when that child comes into your life, that's over. You need to move all that stuff, or you need to put a big sheet of Perspex across the front or something, because they're going to stick toast and peanut butter in every single thing they can, man. And so I'm sorry.
I think who told me that? I think it was my mom. She's like, so we were naming our daughter Jacqueline.
Yeah.
And she's like, when Jacqueline's running around, she's going to turn off your PlayStation 5 while you're playing. She's going to be vomiting on your consoles. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't tell me that. Hopefully we have a good kid.
No, it's not going to work. I'm just telling you now, it's not going to work. You're going to have to relocate all that stuff, box it up, put it away, maybe put it in that room somehow, try and change things up, just live in the CRT. I mean, things like PS3s and PS4s, you can probably, put them somewhere a bit safer, like up higher or whatever, and bolt them to the wall so they can't be shaken down. Because the beauty of children is if they notice you love something, they want to love it too.
They want to love it too. I have heard that. I think it was a friend of mine. We like playing Call of Duty, so we're whole into that whole Call of Duty Warzone stuff. And she's like, when she comes around and she's like 5 or 6, she's gonna destroy all of us. We're gonna be following her, and we're gonna be dead, and she's gonna be doing like these 360 crazy stuff.
This is why a 4-year-old can use a smartphone, because they watch us.
It's true.
And we're freaking addicts. And oh my God, it's the bane of my life at the moment. Just trying to I have a 9-year-old that she's good. She's a smart kid. But she's a result of our addiction to just picking up our phone and looking at it and stuff. And it's hard to tell your children, don't do that. When the second after you pick up your phone. So. Anyway, buddy.
I'm definitely gonna be starting her off right from Nintendo NES to SNES, and we're gonna work our way up all the way up.
You give an original Game Boy with no backlight and say, "This is where you begin. Your training starts today."
With the little worm light on it.
Yeah. Oh man, so good to talk to you. I'm so happy for you. You're gonna have the best time. Hopefully you still find that time to kind of get your modding and stuff done, and you might just find you'll just store up a few more projects, in the meantime. But dude, all the best to you, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and
thanks for having me
and sharing your story with us. I know everybody loves to hear about people. We're all sort of semi-secluded depending on what part of the world you're in. Anybody that's listening, reach out to this guy, reach out to Jonathan. He's not a knowledge hoarder. He's a lover and a sharer. And if you like the podcast, you can always tell someone else about it, and you can share it and you can like it. And
you might save somebody else. Like I was saved with the podcast. That here in Miami, the traffic is an hour and a half. So I just love the long podcast, and it just sits there. I listen it from the beginning to the end in one cargo. So it's I ran out of podcasts.
I'm sorry.
We got some pretty good ones, pretty good shout outs.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have to check them out.
Awesome. All right, mate. Well, you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will catch you on the flip side. And we'll talk about that thing in the box you've got there, that that Game Boy that you're like, you might want this, and you're like, I might want it. But who knows?
Likewise, Scott. Take it easy. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Anytime. See ya.
Take care.